Hi, I'm Ian Bradford. I'm the Managing Director of Greenview Residential Care Home here in Lockerley.
Thank you for your time today, Ian. Your first question is, what is your definition of customer service?
My definition of customer service is exactly what it says, keeping the customers happy, making sure that the customer has satisfaction in what they perceive to be a good value to what you deliver, and it is actually what they expect to have from you.
Who are your customers, actually?
In fact, we treat almost every visitor to the home as a customer, a potential customer, because every single person that comes to the home has the potential to recommending us, telling to somebody else that we may have something that they might like to have. So there's never an occasion where we wouldn't try and influence or encourage anybody who comes to the home to recommend us to somebody else by seeing what we actually do.
Um, can you just say a little bit about customer service roles and responsibilities within your business?
Yep, we have every single member of staff has the knowledge to show somebody around and be able to engage with them in a way that would deliver the service that we offer for them at any particular moment in time. So if they came and asked us, they wanted us to look after their relative, then the member of staff would be able to answer the questions that they need. If they wanted to have more information, they would probably talk to the registered manager or myself.
How important is teamwork here at Greenview?
Yeah, well, everyone is a member of the team. We do a lot of mentoring. We take on youngsters who are 14, 15, 16, and we give them encouragement to learn how to do all the roles that the staff members would do, perhaps not necessarily undertaking the actual personal care. The idea of that is that if they wish to engage in a role within the health service or an allied industry, or just learn about work experience, we do an awful lot of mentoring, and those people go on to become our holiday staff when they get into 18, when they go to university, they come back, and that is in addition to the staff that we already have. So they add that extra lively, youthful enthusiasm, not necessarily overacting with the existing member staff who are key frontline people who would actually engage with the individuals.
How many residents have you got at the moment?
7.
And what are the different ways you engage with your customers?
Our customers are engaged in all the activities we do. We do lots of outside activities. At this time of year, coming up to the 31st of October, a very important time, we've always had probably the very best Halloween evenings that anyone in the area could possibly want.
I know about that, yes.
Working up to the fact that we end up with one year having a nursery group actually minibusing in children, and it got just too much. It was just incredible. We normally get about 55 to 75 people come, and we've had over 100 on one occasion, so that was just too much. But yeah, we do that. We engage with the Scouts, we engage with the Rainbows, we engage with the local choirs. We get lots of local interest coming in to actually take part. We have a village care group garden party every year. Again, that sort of tells the public that we're here by getting involved with a charity that looks after the elder people in the village as well.
So that's talking about external customers. So when you've got a resident in, do you see them as a customer?
Oh yeah, well they are the person. We tend to have to look after people that have many different types of care needs, and we do what we call shared care with the member of their family, because they are part of the care that we offer, because without them providing the love and affection that we can never possibly give, our care package wouldn't be as good.
And you were saying that you do activities with the residents as well. What sort of activities do you do with them?
On Monday, I'm taking one of them for a walk in Romsey with her dog. We have, what do we have?
You have entertainment.
Yeah, lots of entertainers. We have quizzes.
Musicians.
Yeah, people singing. We have a lady coming to do exercise classes.
You have somebody coming in to do like
gardening therapy.
or massages, garden therapy.
Aromatherapy, reflexology. There's quite a varied list of entertainment, because we know and appreciate that when they're getting older, and most of the people here now may well be in their 90s, their ability to go out and partake of things is not as easy as it used to be.
Mm.
So, and also they get a little bit, they worry about going out to things, whereas if we get people to come in, it's much easier
Yeah.
for them.
So some of your residents obviously have different personalities and different needs, and how do you deal with the different personalities? So sometimes you might have an aggressive or rude customer or resident. How do you deal with that?
I find personally, having done this for 35 years, the best thing to do is not to try to get involved too soon or too early, and actually allow to deal with whatever's happening right in front of you. But if you have to manage it and then deal with it, perhaps don't manage it straight away, because you may not be in the best frame of mind to actually approach it or have all the information to approach it. So gather all the information you need first and then approach it in a time when you're more calm and collected. And you approach it and looking at perhaps the bigger picture. Because often if you just look at what you think is the problem, there may be a bigger picture lying behind it. And that bigger picture may actually be to your benefit, rather than dealing with it instantly, creating more perhaps discord. And then, but if you look at it from at a time, with a little bit of time perspective, you then end up with more information that could lead to a better outcome. You always want to achieve what we call a win-win situation. You never want to achieve a situation where you win and that person loses. We must both end up winning.
Can you give an example of when you've had to deal with a difficult situation?
Yeah, we often get situations that arise. I mean, recently we had a situation where we found that one of the people here, their remote control actually worked the
Main TV.
And so there were two people actually changing the television at the same time, and obviously that was not very beneficial. So that had to be dealt with, and the outcome of that was to get them to seek the television in their own rooms, and then to well, obviously that remote control was taken away and only used in his room. So finally we were able to turn the TV off, and they started to talk to each other and do more with each other.
You've got a range of different needs that these residents have, and they've got special requirements, maybe with mobility and that sort of thing. So, how do you deal with the special requirements of certain, if they're hard of hearing or they might have sight issues? How do you deal with that?
The idea with what we do, we have to abide by the rules and regulations of the CQC and the government.
What's the CQC?
Care Quality Commission, and they make sure that we are following the rules and the laws laid down under the Care Act, and that means we have to assess each individual person, and we have to go and say to that person, yes, we will meet your needs. So we have to staff the home and actually meet their individual needs. So the idea is to have personalised care, and that care can be very individualistic, and there are people that will have specific needs that we'll have to meet in whatever way we can. But we can't meet two remote controls.
No. How many staff have you got?
23 on the last payroll.
Wow. And that's but in the home at any one time.
We do have. I am including all the youngsters, and we've just gone through a period where they've had time to actually come because of their school, unis, colleges. So yeah, there was an inflated staff role at that time. Majority of the staff, we would probably be looking at 16 to 18 members of staff.
Right.
Frontline staff at any one time, usually there's 3, and I'm usually in the background as well. And we have volunteers that come in, so there's a lot of people.
And you have a member of staff that stays in the home overnight?
2, yeah, we have 2, and we have somebody that's awake as well. So, well, there's 2 live-in positions here, and we have somebody that comes in and deals with the night.
Okay. Who deals with complaints?
Yeah, there is a complaints procedure. The complaints procedure works on the basis of if something needs to be said, don't hold it back in, let it out, say what it is there and then. If the staff member can deal with it, then deal with it. If the staff member doesn't deal with it as effectively, you take it to the registered manager. If the registered manager doesn't deal with it, then it comes to me. And again, going back to that principle of trying to get all the information first before you actually make a judgment or make a decision. I think that's really a really good message, to not jump in and to think, because what I tend to do is sometimes is write it all down as I really feel about it, and then ignore it, and it gets it out of my, because obviously a lot of the time you can see a bigger picture and you can see things that they can't see, and you hopefully have got more knowledge or more skill, more ability, so you don't want to jump in on them. So you need to have time to breathe before you go back in and say, well, let's look at this again. If taking it further, if that doesn't answer the person's question, the CQC do become the next port of call, and people can make they can talk to the CQC anonymously if they need to. But the CQC doesn't only deal with complaints; it also deals with people that actually make kind comments or make really good comments about the home. We have been on the receiving end of those things as well.
Is that who awarded you the?
The Hampshire Care Association gave us an award in 2016, Care Home of the Year, and during that year we did have somebody had written to CQC to tell them that they thought we were quite good at what we do.
Yeah, quite right. How do you ensure consistency within your organisation?
We have many different ways and means. Before they start, they are given an induction which usually lasts between 2 weeks to a month, and they work in tandem with somebody, which is extremely expensive. But you have to get that person to follow how somebody else may actually deliver the care. It is individualistic, and the person can change things if they think things are better. We're not rigid in terms of saying that you have to do things exactly the same. But we were then, after mentoring them and showing them what to do, they have to learn lots of policies and procedures, as most people do. And we have standard statements which actually help them, like a little crib sheet, to actually say to them, this is a good way that we found to do something, and maybe you want to follow it. And that works very effectively. And we believe in the spiral of achievement and not the spiral of decline. We don't believe that just because somebody wants to cut a corner and wants to sort of perhaps miss things out, things will decline. It can go the other way, in terms of people want to add things in and develop things and make things be undertaken or delivered in a way that is better than what was delivered before.
Can you just give that example that you gave me earlier about, so the procedure that you said about, giving somebody a bath,
Oh, you want the standard statement?
Go on, yeah.
Okay. If a standard statement was written out, so you're like a crib sheet, like I said, the idea is that somebody comes in who doesn't know how to deliver that. Previous member staff have delivered it very well, so we observe how that person has delivered it, and then we start writing it down. And we work on the fact that what we're looking for is the outcome. So in the end column is the outcome that we both want to achieve, or everyone has wanted to achieve. So you want to achieve a person that's, if it was having a bath, somebody that would be clean, they would be refreshed, they would be relaxed, they would have had a really nice experience, so a real positive outcome. Then the process of achieving that is delivered by the staff members. They would make sure that the room was warm, they make sure the towels were there, change of clothing, they make sure that the room was warm. And then in the process, what you would then first, the structure is what I have to provide as the owner. I have to provide a warm environment, I have to provide clean towels, I have to provide hot water. So all those things that you'd need to deliver have to be provided by me. And then that makes the member of staff the boss, because they would turn around and say, if you want me to achieve this, I can't achieve this unless you give me clean towels. Or the towels are not up to standard, not up to scratch, we need some new ones. So they would just come to me and say, Ian, get me some new towels. So they become the boss. So it's empowerment, which is, I firmly believe in empowerment.
And that two-way communication between you and your staff.
Yeah, very much so. If they can't tell you or give you the ways to make things better, then you're really stuck, because you're not doing it like they are.
Thank you. What is the impact of excellent customer satisfaction, and then the other side of the coin, which if you got bad reviews?
Well, the outcome would be the awards that we won recently, and I would say still being here after 35 years with 7 residents is quite an incredible achievement in itself. When any new development for a care home, they're now looking at making 73 to 84 beds. It was 60, it's gone up to get a return on your investment. when people have paid £10 million to build a new care establishment, they want to return on their investment quite quickly. And if they don't get full occupancy, they're not getting the maximum out of their business. And it's really supercharged when you're at that end, especially if it's within a group of companies. I'm lucky that I'm the person that they come to and get a decision straight away. There's no chain that they have to operate and go up through. We seem to have always done the job in a way that I've always tried to encourage better than anybody else might be doing the job. And we have had full occupancy virtually all the time. There have been some peaks and troughs, but generally I would say we're always tend to be full. In fact, recently somebody came and they couldn't find the place, and they went and saw somebody in the local village, and they said, "Oh, you'd be really lucky to get in there." And they'd already been told by somebody else before they came here that they'd be, "Oh, you won't get in there, they're always full." And when she came, we just happened to have a vacancy like that day, and she said, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
It was like, it's quite
Great
incredible.
word of mouth.
Oh, you wanted to know what happened if it
Yeah.
doesn't? Other homes, I do see these homes really pushing and really they're not as relaxed about the care. They're not relaxed about, well, in my industry, and there's that pressure, there's that, you feel tension in the air. A lady I showed around just now, she was saying it feels very relaxed here and very open, and that's what you want to convey. You want to convey somewhere where you think, well, yeah, I could really put my feet up here.
Yeah.
I could put the warm slippers on and just sit down, and I'd be okay. Whereas if you're always chasing the next pound, you don't always perhaps think the role through correctly. You don't have that time to make good management decisions, to say, what are we trying to do? Who are we trying to influence? Who are we trying to make this for? And in turn, if you do it well, I mean, it comes back to you continually. But if you do it in a hurried manner, in a way that you're just chasing the pound.
Yeah. You won't have that full occupancy.
No.
Yeah.
I was always told once, if you start worrying about money, it never comes to you. So I'm not sure that's totally true, but it's an interesting philosophy.
Yeah. Thank you. Last question, which might be, you've already mentioned some organisational bodies that affect you, the CQC.
Yeah.
What other legislation affects the way you behave with your customers? So obviously there's health and safety.
Oh yeah, food hygiene.
Food hygiene. What else? What else affects you? Is it
the Government Care Act?
So the Care Act.
Which is due. They're supposed to be doing a review now.
I've not come across the Care Act. So what sort of things are in that?
It's quite
Massive.
Lengthy. Yeah. I would actually say that if you're starting off from scratch, it's quite a heavy document to go through.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that having got to this point, having arrived through many different changes of the Care Act, it's a lot easier, but it's very heavy. One of the things that somebody was saying recently was about staffing levels. There's a petition that somebody was saying that we should write and say that staffing levels should be higher in the home. Well, on the Care Act, if they follow the Care Act, it actually says you assess the person and meet the person's needs, and that means staffing to meet those needs. But often what does happen and can happen is that the home just carries on with the same number of people, so they're not actually meeting that person's needs, and the pressure then builds on the staff. And again, if you overwork your staff, they vote with their feet and they leave.
But I just wanted to think of the practical things to give some examples. So when what sort of fixtures and fittings do you have to have? You've got to have fire doors,
smoke detectors, heat detectors in the kitchen. We have to have a bed, a chair, and a second chair, a desk within each bedroom, which we're required to provide by law. We have to have the room temperatures between 22 to 24 degrees. They should be able to monitor the temperature in the room themselves. So we have thermostatic radiator valves so they can turn it up or down depending on if they want more heat or less heat.
Fire extinguishers,
top and bottom of the stairs, within the kitchen. We have the regular checks on various equipment that has to be maintained, boilers, stair lifts, the access, egress, all that sort of thing has to be easy and make sure it's maintained and
What's
open.
egress?
Oh, exit
Oh.
and access,
Okay,
in and out.
right. Just thinking about your food hygiene.
Oh yeah.
How often do you get inspected?
One is due, but don't tell anyone that. One is due now.
Is that yearly?
It's usually, yeah. I'm not saying they do come annually, but we have had inspections in October, and they just turn up and they just put the white coats on, put the hats on, put the gloves on, and they just start asking lots of questions and observing, checking. We have a daily entry which we have to fulfil. Opening checks of the kitchen, closing checks of the kitchen, making sure the person who opens the kitchen says the kitchen is in a fit state to be used. The person who closes the kitchen says it's cleaned after being used. Our kitchen is quite old now, actually, but a lot of people come in and say how new the kitchen is, because we do
Keep it clean.
Yeah, we do.
I was just trying to think of something else. It's gone.
Health and safety, there's
Yeah.
regulations. People are allowed to go up so many steps of a step ladder before they have to have ladder training. But the staff don't go up. So I have to change the light bulbs.
And is the home inspected by local government or anything like that?
Yeah, we do get infrequent checks. They're not like they used to be. Obviously, government cutbacks have meant that the number of checks now are much less than they used to be. There's a lot of self-regulations. If you tick a box to say you do this is a legal requirement to say that you have said that you have covered this and dealt with this, and your signature on that says, yes, you've done it. Waste disposal, which is on people's minds all the time. I have to fill out a waste management, waste transfer form to say exactly what my waste is and where it goes.
Yeah.
And that's a legal requirement. I have to retain my insurance documents for 10 years to show that I've been insured during those periods of time, and should anybody make a retrospective claim, that I was insured during that period of time, so that any claim could be dealt with.
And what about data protection with that new legislation?
Yep, GDPR, that's been words from above.
Yeah.
GDPR is something which is relatively new. I mean, we have a GDPR form. It's whether we keep the information which is relevant. It's slightly challenging. It does make things a little bit. You think, do I need this person's information or don't I need this person's information? And that's more or less it, really. I don't think we take it to any further extremes because we don't go and mail shop people.
But you have to keep things locked away.
Yep. Filing cabinets, keys.
Yeah.
Yep, we have medication that's kept away, controlled drugs. We have that under 2 locks and keys. In fact, I think we have it under 3 actually, because there's a lock on the kitchen as well. So there's, it's. I think after a while you just accept that this is what you do because that's what you're required to do by the legislation and the law. So providing you follow it, it's easy because you just do it the right way.
So you had a history of sort of marketing and other jobs. What made you become the owner and manager of a nursing home? What happened there?
I was married to a nurse. So she, 2 of her members of staff back in the 80s. Margaret Thatcher was trying to get people to go and privatise things and get more people out into running their own businesses, and it just so happened that the care sector was needing more people to look after people. So we were shown around 2 homes and thought, well, this could be good and we could probably do this. Unfortunately, it wasn't for her, but it was for me. And as I say, I've been here 35 years, so I thoroughly enjoy it.
Ian Bradford from Greenview, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for asking me.